Good evening and welcome to Sabha TV. My name is Aditi Nagpal-Girotra and you're watching News Tonight, where we bring you news updates from India and around the world. On Wednesday, that is 5th of August, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lay the foundation stone of the historic Ram Mandir in Ram Janmabhoomi, Ayodhya.
The majestic Ram temple is expected to be 270 to 280 feet wide, 280 to 300 feet long and 128 feet high. Rituals preceding the Bhumi Pujan of the Ram temple started in Ayodhya on Monday with an elaborate Gauri Ganesh Puja. The 3-day rituals will culminate with the Bhumi Pujan performed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday. The puja started at 8 a.m. on Monday morning with 11 priests chanting mantras. Simultaneously, Ramayana Path is being conducted in various other temples. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Modi will first offer prayers for about 7 minutes at the Hanumangadi temple before reaching the Bhumi Pujan site for a special puja. He will lay the foundation stone at the auspicious hour, which is 32 seconds after 12:15 a.m. The foundation stone will be a silver brick weighing around 35 to 40 kilograms that holds a special significance in astrology. In Ayodhya, preparations are in full swing for the Bhumi Pujan. The Hanumangadi temple is being sanitized. COVID-19 prevention protocol will be followed during the program and not more than 5 people will be allowed at one place. Security has been tightened in and around the city limits in the 7 zones, including Hanumangadi and the banks of the Saryu. All roads leading to the site from the Ayodhya main road will be sealed.
बहुत लोग आने को उत्सुक हैं, ना आने का उन्हें दुख है, लेकिन मंदिर बन जाएगा, तब रामलला बैठेंगे, तब बहुत बड़ा जन समुदाय यहाँ इकट्ठा होगा. शायद अयोध्या में जगह न दिखाई पड़े, इतने लोग आएंगे.
Around 500 sanitation workers are working round the clock in a cleanliness drive in Ayodhya. Graffiti and images depicting scenes from the Ramayana have come up on the main streets of the town. Buildings are being painted yellow. Colorful lights have been put up at the Naya Ghat on the banks of the Saryu river. Around 3,000 sound systems are playing Ram Dhun across Ayodhya, while Vedic hymns will be played during the Bhumi Pujan. More than 1 lakh earthen lamps will be lit in Ayodhya for 2 days from 4th of August, a day before the Bhumi Pujan. 20,000 temples across the town have a new look for the ceremony. Ayodhya residents have been requested to decorate their houses with rangoli, diyas and lights. Close to 1.25 lakh diyas have been ordered for the highly anticipated ceremony on Wednesday.
हम लोगों ने जो प्लान कर रखा है, एक तो दीपोत्सव का प्लान कर रखा है. मंदिर में वहाँ पे दीपावली वो मिट्टी के दिए उसकी व्यवस्थाएं हो रही, जगह जगह पर वो हम लोग दिए प्रज्वलित करेंगे 4 की तारीख को भी और 5 तारीख को भी. प्लस भगवान के नाम का संकीर्तन और कुछ रामायण का पाठ है. ये तो मंदिर के अंदर की व्यवस्था हो गई. आजकल मंदिर झूलनोत्सव चल रहे हैं, तो कुछ गीत संगीत वैसे भी यहाँ पर चल रहा है.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath reviewed preparations for Ram Temple Bhumi Pujan on Monday.
The Chief Minister visited the Ram Janmabhoomi site and also the Hanumangadi temple. Additional Chief Secretary Home Avinash Kumar Avasthi, Ayodhya District Magistrate Anju Kumar Jha and DIG Deepak Kumar also accompanied him.
ये हमारे लिए ऐतिहासिक क्षण भी है, भावनात्मक क्षण भी है और एक नए भारत के निर्माण की आधारशिला को रखने का अवसर भी है. इसी दृष्टि से आज यहाँ पर यहाँ के कार्यों का अवलोकन करने के लिए मैं स्वयं आया हूँ, देखने के लिए. आयोजन श्री राम जन्मभूमि तीर्थ क्षेत्र न्यास का है, लेकिन उस कार्यक्रम में बाहर की सुरक्षा, बाहर व्यवस्था आदि को निरीक्षण करने देखने के दृष्टि से हम लोग यहाँ पर आए हैं. अयोध्यापुरी में आगमन के लिए वही लोग यहाँ पर आए जो आमंत्रित हैं. बाकी सभी श्रद्धालुजन यद्यपि हर एक श्रद्धालु जन की, हर एक भारतीय की इच्छा होगी कि इस ऐतिहासिक क्षण के वे साक्षी बने, लेकिन 135 करोड़ लोगों की आकांक्षा के प्रतीक आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी स्वयं हैं और आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी उन सब का प्रतिनिधित्व स्वयं करेंगे।
Ahead of the visit, Chief Minister Adityanath quoted lines from the Ramcharitmanas on Twitter and said, "The wait of many centuries is now over." He also asked devotees to light a lamp in their homes and read the Sri Ramcharitmanas. The Chief Minister's plan to visit Ayodhya on Sunday had to be cancelled due to the death of State Minister Kamla Rani Varun. In a related development, the Northern Railways announced that the first phase of the new railway station in Ayodhya will be completed by June 2021. The station, with modern facilities, will be built on the theme of the Ram Temple. Meanwhile, in other news, the Delhi BJP has arranged for the live telecast of the Ram Temple groundbreaking ceremony. The party said it is for the lakhs of people who cannot go to Ayodhya for the ceremony due to the coronavirus pandemic. Giant LED screens are being installed at prominent places in all the 70 assembly constituencies in Delhi. However, social distancing norms and other COVID-19 protocols will be fully observed. Party leaders and workers have also organized community feasts in different parts of the city on that day.
The first invitation card for the historic Bhumi Pujan of the Ram Temple at Ayodhya has been sent to Iqbal Ansari. Ansari, who was one of the main litigants in the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid dispute, said it was Lord Ram's wish that he received the first invitation. He added that Hindus and Muslims live in harmony in Ayodhya.
Ansari, who was one of the main litigants in the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid dispute, said it was Lord Ram's wish that he received the first invitation. He added that Hindus and Muslims live in harmony in Ayodhya. The invite mentions Prime Minister Narendra Modi and names 3 others, indicating a vastly trimmed guest list in the time of COVID-19. The invitation card with a yellow background color has been prepared by the trust. 5 people will be on the stage. They include Prime Minister Modi, RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat, Uttar Pradesh Governor Anandibhen Patel, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Mahant Nritya Gopal Das. Apart from them, the invite has an image of the idol of Ram Lalla or infant Lord Ram. Invites have been sent to nearly 150 people for the elaborate Bhumi Pujan on Wednesday. BJP senior leaders Lal Krishna Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi will reportedly join the event virtually in view of COVID-19 precautions. The Ram Temple construction is expected to be completed in around 3 to 3.5 years.
हमें चाहते हैं कि जो भी काम हमारा यहाँ हो रहा है सम्मान जो है माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के आगमन पे हो रहा है। बड़ी खुशी की बात है, राम मंदिर बन रहा है, बड़ी अच्छी बात है। साथ में जो है सारे धर्म से के सारे जात के लोगों को जो है खुशहाली होनी चाहिए और किसी के साथ कभी कोई भेदभाव नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये आजकल का दौर जो है वो ईमानदारी का अब होना चाहिए।
Calling the Bhumi Pujan or groundbreaking ceremony of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya a historic event, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said, the country is bringing alive the glory of its past and enshrining the values cherished by its people.
On a social media post, Rebuilding the Shrine, Enshrining the Values, the Vice President called it an event that connects most of us to our illustrious cultural heritage. Naidu quoted Vedic scholar Arthur Anthony MacDonald to say, Ram's ideas, as told in the Indian texts, are secular in origin and their influence on the life and thought of people have been profound over at least 2.5 millennia. He added the Bhumi Pujan ceremony for building a grand Ram temple in Ayodhya could lead to a societal spiritual rejuvenation in the country. The Vice President emphasized that reading the Ramayana in the right perspective captures the unique Indian vision of dharma or righteous behavior. He added the story of Lord Ram's life is about adherence to a set of values imbibed in the Indian culture, like truth, peace, collaboration, compassion, justice, inclusion, devotion, sacrifice, and empathy. The Vice President pointed out that it is this set of values that are at the core of the Indian worldview. Talking about Ram Rajya, Naidu termed it a metaphor used by Mahatma Gandhi to define a well-governed state and said it is based on a people-centric democratic governance founded on the values of empathy, inclusion, peaceful coexistence, and constant quest for a better quality of life.
The Bhumi Pujan for the Grand Ram Temple on Wednesday will be a culmination of a dispute that lasted for nearly 166 years.
The Supreme Court in November 2019 pronounced its verdict on Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid land dispute case and paved the way for the construction of a Ram temple by a trust at the site. The court ordered the entire 2.77 acres to be allotted for the construction of a temple, while an alternative 5 acres be allotted to the Sunni Waqf Board for the construction of a mosque at a suitable place within Ayodhya. The court observed that archaeological evidence from the Archaeological Survey of India shows that the Babri Masjid was constructed on a structure whose architecture was distinctly indigenous and non-Islamic. The court ruled that the suit filed by Nirmohi Akhara could not be upheld and ruled that it should be given appropriate representation in the Board of Trustees. After the November 2019 verdict, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in February announced in Lok Sabha the formation of a trust to construct the Ram temple in Ayodhya. The Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust now has invited the Prime Minister to lay the foundation stone of the Ram temple in Ayodhya.
Several political leaders, including Union Home Minister Amit Shah, tested positive for COVID-19 on Sunday.
Amit Shah was admitted to a hospital in Gurgaon where his condition has been described as stable. Shah disclosed on Twitter that he was being hospitalized at the advice of doctors. He also requested people who came in contact with him in the last few days to take necessary precautions. Several ministers, including Ravi Shankar Prasad and Babul Supriyo, went into self-isolation after Amit Shah tested positive for COVID-19. Both leaders said they don't have any symptoms and that the self-isolation was purely based on the existing protocol. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and his daughter also tested positive for the disease. Both are being monitored by doctors at the Manipal Hospital and are doing well.
COVID-19 infections in India have crossed 18 lakh, out of which close to 12 lakh people have recovered. India, the third most affected country by total cases and fifth by death toll, added over 3.68 lakh cases last week. Monday is the fifth consecutive day that COVID-19 cases have increased by more than 50,000.
With nearly 53,000 new cases, the number of confirmed infections in India crossed 18 lakh on Sunday. 771 casualties in the last 24 hours pushed the death toll to 38,135. Of the total cases, 5.79 lakh are active, while close to 12 lakh people have recovered. The recovery rate is 65.76%. Recoveries in India crossed the 1.1 million mark over the weekend after over 1 lakh new people were declared cured, the highest numbers recorded yet over 2 days. From just 100 COVID-19 tests a day in January, India has ramped up its public and private diagnostics network to test over 5 lakh samples a day on an average to cross 2 crore total tests. Over 3.81 lakh samples were tested on Sunday. India has conducted over 50 lakh tests in the last quarter of July and over 84 lakh tests in the entire month. India also expanded its testing strategy to include both symptomatic and asymptomatic individuals and allowed different types of diagnostic kits. However, 85% of all tests are still RT-PCR, the most reliable and gold standard in testing. Tamil Nadu is conducting the highest number of daily tests, followed by Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. The country's maximum caseload, which is about 80% of the cases, is restricted to 50 districts out of the total 740 districts in the country. New hotspots are emerging in 3 large population states of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and West Bengal. Coronavirus cases continue to rise in Andhra Pradesh with as many as 8,555 infections reported on Sunday, taking the state's tally to 1.58 lakh. The death toll due to the virus mounted to 1,474 as 67 new deaths were recorded in the last 24 hours. In Karnataka, 5,532 new positive cases were detected on Sunday, the total climbing up to 1,34,819, taking the total death toll to 2,496. Kerala's case tally was 25,911 on Sunday, with 1,169 new cases being reported. Telangana's cases stood at 66,677 as 1,891 more samples tested positive. Infections in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Assam and Odisha are also growing at a fast pace, pushing India's overall tally higher every day. India has added over 2.5 lakh cases in just 5 days. However, Monday's fresh cases count is the lowest in the last 4 days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
After extending the suspension of international flights till 31st August, the government has issued fresh guidelines for international passengers. Here are the details along with other key COVID-19 developments.
The government has issued fresh guidelines for international passengers coming to India. It has made a 7-day institutional quarantine mandatory for travellers, that is to be followed by home isolation for 7 days more. However, exceptions will be allowed in a few cases like human distress, pregnancy, death in family, serious illness and parents accompanied by children below 10 years. Such people will be asked to self-isolate at home for 14 days. The new set of guidelines will take effect from 8th of August. However, states can develop their own protocols with regard to quarantine and isolation as per their assessment of passengers post-arrival. The Drugs Controller General of India has approved Phase 2 and 3 human clinical trials of the Oxford University developed COVID-19 vaccine candidate by the Serum Institute of India. Each subject will be administered 2 doses 4 weeks apart, after which the safety and immunogenicity will be assessed at predefined intervals. ICMR is planning to set up a registry of hospitalized COVID-19 patients to collect real-time data to help improve treatment outcomes, analyze trends in the progression of the pandemic, and calibrate response. The data will enable researchers and policymakers to generate crucial understanding of COVID-19 and to detect trends in the progression of the pandemic and to accordingly calibrate response to the pandemic. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The World Health Organization has said that despite strong hopes for a COVID-19 vaccine, there might never be a silver bullet for the disease.
The caution comes on a day when COVID-19 infections crossed 18 million cases.
A number of vaccines are now in phase 3 clinical trials, and we all hope to have a number of effective vaccines that can help prevent people from infection. However, there is no silver bullet at the moment, and there might never be. For now, stopping outbreaks comes down to the basics of public health and disease control: testing, isolating and treating patients, and tracing and quarantining their contacts.
The United States reported over 47,500 new COVID-19 cases on Sunday, taking its tally to over 4.66 million. Over 154,000 US citizens have died. In Latin America and the Caribbean, COVID-19 cases crossed 4.9 million on Monday. Brazil had over 2.7 million cases. Brazilian city Rio de Janeiro reopened its beaches as it entered the 5th stage of reopening. With masks and social distancing, the National Museum of Colombia also reopened to the public over the weekend. Australia's Victoria declared a state of disaster and imposed night curfew. Retail shops, construction projects and manufacturing activity has been restricted. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has announced leave disaster payment for the pandemic.
What we will be doing is establishing a pandemic leave disaster payment. Earlier this year, when we were confronting the bushfires, we made a number of additional disaster payments, particularly for children and families affected by bushfires. What we're dealing with here is a disaster, and we need to respond on the basis of the way we provide support in the midst of disasters. This pandemic is a disaster, and we need a disaster payment when it comes for people who have to isolate for a period of 14 days through no fault of their own.
Philippines is reimposing lockdown measures in Manila from Tuesday after its coronavirus cases crossed 1 lakh. Some businesses and public transport are expected to be closed in the capital. Vietnam deployed a mobile COVID-19 testing laboratory in Da Nang city on Monday after a fresh outbreak. The city has also banned movement in and out of the city and closed entertainment venues. The country has reported 621 infections with 6 deaths. Malaysia implemented QR codes to trace people's coronavirus exposure and check their health status. People entering shops and restaurants must scan the code and register for the contact tracing process. Singapore and Thailand are also using the technology. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called the new education policy a landmark in the history of the Indian education system that is aimed at transforming India into a knowledge society. In an article in Tamil newspaper Daily Thanthi, the Vice President elaborated on the key highlights of NEP 2020.
The Vice President said the NEP's goal is to bring 2 crore out-of-school children into the mainstream and integration of vocational education. The NEP will empower students, he said, as they will have the opportunity to choose the subjects they wish to learn. The NEP attempts to make higher education focused and research-oriented by bringing in a single regulator to look after all institutions barring medical and law colleges. The policy also expands the scope of foundational education, increasing the school-going years from 3 to 18 instead of the prevalent 6 to 14. The NEP has highlighted India's digital divide and aspires to bridge it in a time-bound manner. The Vice President also welcomed the suggestion in NEP that one's mother tongue should be the medium of instruction till at least class 5. The Vice President called the policy comprehensive, holistic and far-sighted, which will play a great role in facilitating the future growth of the nation.
The Public Accounts Committee has initiated an inquiry on several matters. Similarly, the newly formed Committee on PSUs has also selected 24 important subjects for comprehensive examination. Arvind Kumar Singh brings us this report.
The Parliamentary Committee on Public Undertakings, headed by BJP MP Meenakshi Lekhi, has selected 24 subjects for investigation during the year 2020-21. The Committee on Public Undertakings examines the reports and accounts of public sector undertakings as well as their autonomy and efficiency. The committee also checks upon the credibility of the business of public sector undertakings. The committee has decided to conduct a thorough investigation of 11 PSUs. These include the Airport Authority of India, Central Coalfields Limited, Food Corporation of India, NBCC India Limited, National Fertilizers Limited, Oil India Limited, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, National Thermal Power Corporation Limited, Hindustan Antibiotics Limited and Ercon International Limited. The committee has also decided to inquire the functioning of PSUs in 8 sectors. 5 audit-based reports will also be examined. These include NMDC, ONGC, Coal India, New India Assurance Company and Security Printing and Minting Corporation of India Limited. For horizontal study, the committee will review the performance of public sector insurance companies, performance under CSR by power sector CPSUs, performance under CSR by coal sector CPSUs, corporate governance in CPSUs, review of performance of CPSUs in health sector and evaluation of research and development activities of Maharatna CPSUs. Also, the 22-member Estimates Committee has selected a significant number of important subjects for examination this time. Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Rajya Sabha MP Amar Singh was cremated at the Chhatarpur crematorium in Delhi on Monday, 2 days after he died at a Singapore hospital.
The last rites took place around 11:30 a.m. His two daughters consigned his mortal remains to flames. Singh's last rites were performed in the presence of a limited number of people, including actor-turned-politician Jayaprada, due to COVID-19 protocol. Earlier, leaders including Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Rajya Sabha member Jyotiraditya Scindia and Jayaprada paid floral tributes to Amar Singh at his Chhatarpur farmhouse. His wife and two daughters were present there. The 64-year-old leader was hospitalized in Singapore for the past few months.
US astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, who flew to the International Space Station in SpaceX new Crew Dragon, landed in the Gulf of Mexico after a 2-month voyage. This was the first commercial crewed mission to the International Space Station. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk's SpaceX became the first private company to send humans to orbit. The touchdown marks the first crewed US water landing since the final outing of an Apollo Command module 45 years ago. And with this, it's a wrap on this edition of News Tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.